What's good, everybody? This is Jay. Fifth quarter show. We live and direct. We got Young Chuck in the building. We got Mr. Wood. What's going on, Wood?
Not much, man. Just a busy week. Yourself?
Oh man, same man. Just busy. A lot of things going on. Sports and entertainment wise. So at least that can give us some time to relax a little bit and enjoy ourselves.
This is definitely a great escape, and in the middle of the week. So I'm looking to get to it. I think we got a great show lined up. Obviously, this stuff writes itself. We just try to chop it up and report it. So, I think we got some. Hopefully, we got some good calls on a lot of different subjects this week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We got things going on from NCAA tournament. Of course, we got March Madness jumping off. We got NBA. We got some good guys like Steve Nash retiring. We got teams jockeying for playoff positions. NFL, everybody's favorite. The owners' meetings was actually this week, so we can talk a little bit about that. Then entertainment, we got some albums dropping. We got, of course, Empire, everybody's favorite right now. So let's get right into it, man. Let's start with the NCAA hoops, man. And let's go. Let's start with our March Madness bracket. The fifth quarter bracket.
First of all, I want to thank everybody that took the time to sign up for it. And, I think it's been kind of exciting. I know I started out rough, kind of got back in the middle, and then jumped up to the top for a brief moment, and then finished somewhere in the middle. So I thought it was fun, man. I haven't really checked my bracket. I told you from the jump, I'm not a bracket guy. But William Cartwright came out of nowhere. He was a last minute entry, but he's leading us going into this weekend. There's a bunch of people that I was excited to see their names up there.
Yeah, man, it was definitely an opportunity for us to talk with some folks and do a little bragging on who was who. But like I tell them, man, it matters how you finish. It's not about how you start; it's all about how you finish. So right now, we have some leaders, but we'll see what they do when we get to the end of the race. Also, we're giving away some gifts. We're giving away some gift certificates. Some places to eat, some places to go shop to, and little movies. So to keep with the sports and entertainment theme. And also, we're giving away some T-shirts. I think that's what's near and dear to our heart. The T-shirts. Get some of the people who listen to this show and support us to go out there and actually, wear our uni. So that'll be a good look for us.
Yeah, and if I see people washing their car in them, I'm gonna be touched. I'm gonna have a moment.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm gonna really have a moment.
No doubt. So as we get to the Sweet 16 this week, getting closer and closer to the Final Four, we're gonna give everybody a chance to do a redo. Some teams that we picked to go in the Final Four may not be there right now, but as we look at the Sweet 16 and get closer to the Final Four, who do you think are your Final Four teams as we move forward?
No, I don't think much of anything changed for me. I'm still going with all the top seeds. I mean, I'm a little shocked Villanova's still in or is gone. I guess I started drinking the Kool-Aid and went with the best dressed guy in college basketball. But I still think it's gonna boil down to Duke, UK, probably. I'm confused with Wisconsin. Um, I'm sticking with all them. The only one that's kind of is coming on is Michigan State. And I told you it was gonna boil down to whether or not Brandon Dawson, whether or not he shows up. He's the kind of guy that I don't think they necessarily run plays for him, but he can come out and because of where he plays and his athletic ability, he's a 4-year guy. He can come out and go 6 for 8, and get 17, 18 points. So I think they're dangerous. I went with UK, just kind of trying to play with the field. But I think Duke is probably looking the best to me as far as being razor sharp.
Okay, Dukies, they're due. It's about time for them to do something in the tournament. They've had some early exits, in the past tournament, so maybe they can get it done. Me personally, I think UK definitely is the threat to definitely be at the Final Four and win it all. The only reason why I say that is because it's just they have the size, man. I mean, they just eliminate, all the interior play for the other teams. But, if you can actually, maybe pull up a little sooner, work your mid-range game a little bit more, and you got to hit some three-pointers, I think you can be able to, give UK a run. I really believe Cincinnati in the game of 32, they did a good job with UK. I just think that they didn't really adjust their approach. Some of their guards were continuously trying to get to the bucket, but you just can't do that against Kentucky. They just have too many bigs. They have bigs out there on the court. They have bigs out there on the bench. So that's their forte of playing good, tough defense in the paint. And I think that was kind of UC's demise. But I'm gonna say this West Virginia game that's coming up, this week will be a good game, because one thing for sure, Coach Bob Huggins is going to have his team ready to play. They're not going to be intimidated at all. They're not going to be, in awe of playing, UK and the team that's supposed to win it all. So I'm very excited to see how West Virginia approaches the game. And I think that they have a seasoned vet point guard, local plug, Juwan Staten, who will definitely be ready to play and compete against the best.
I'm trying to get it into West Virginia and seeing them as being a legitimate threat. They're not sharp enough offensively to me, and they're not the great 3-point shooters that Huggins has had in the past. He's usually had these 6'7", 6'8", even 6'9" kids, these stretch fours that have been able to shoot the ball. With Pitt Snoggle a few years ago, that name comes to mind. Joe Alexander, I think, was the guy. I thought he was going to do something coming into the league. But I just don't think they have the horses. So, again, and another thing, I'm going to tell you my last point on it. If they were running into Kentucky on Saturday or Sunday, coming off the momentum of that Thursday or Friday game, then I would give them more of a chance. But when you've had that 4 or 5 days to cool off, I think that just plays into Kentucky's hands. And I don't know why we continuously talk about this one and done thing this year, because Kentucky does not have one and done guys. They're doing it with vets. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see that Xavier Arizona game will be thrilling. North Carolina and Wisconsin. A lot of people were at me this week because I said Wisconsin could be the first to fall, and I mentioned why. But this is a good test for them going up against North Carolina. I don't know, man. Like I said, Duke, I don't want to shortchange Utah, but I think that's kind of a breezy game for Duke. The rugged matchup with Michigan State and Oklahoma, two teams I didn't think was going to be there. That's one to keep an eye on too.
Definitely, it'll definitely be interesting, man. So moving on a little bit, talking about the tourney. You got a lot of Charles Barkley, and we have who's that, Kenny Smith, and a lot of the veterans of the
Steve Smith.
They all are covering the NCAA tournament. So let me ask you this question. How do you think that they're doing, with the coverage of the tournament? Do you think they're, giving the people watching the game the information that they need, or do you think they could do a better job?
With us being 8 weeks into this venture, who am I to really say what these guys are doing? However, I will say their peers or their counterparts that do the daily radio, they were kind of brutal on Mateen. Supposedly there was a moment late at night where Mateen just rambled on and didn't even talk about the point or the question that was posed to him. We know the Jet. We know that he can get off track. Steve Smith is kind of a quiet guy. I thought one of the unfortunate things was for my man Grant Hill to be stuck up against. I don't know if he was with Nance, but I know he was with Rafferty. And Rafferty is a pro. I mean, he's arguably my favorite guy doing it. I mean, to be as old as he is and to still be as fresh. I mean, some of his bits are a bit used at this point, but he's still fresh with it. So I think that just kind of hurt Grant, to step right in and be next to one of the best guys doing it. So I thought that was unfortunate for him. I think I'll say two things. How can we turn around and complain now when they've done everything they could to give you the option to watch whatever game you want to watch? And now we want to sit here and complain about that. And 4 or 5 years ago, you had to get punched into the middle of games and miss all types of stuff. And then lastly, I think the only bad thing about it, man, was Sunday night. Those boys were out there playing late. I think UD had a late start time at 10:45 or something. And I think it's unfortunate for the teams that are on this side of the map, on the eastern seaboard through the Midwest. I don't think that's a good look for teams to be playing, for games to be ending at 1 in the morning. And I'll be honest, on that one, the one that was on Sunday night, I didn't even get to see the finish of that game because I had to go to work.
Definitely, man. And the thing about, the guys that were covering the games, Mateen, Steve Smith, Grant Hill, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't have too much a complaint for those guys because, for one thing, some of the guys that are seasoned veterans of the game, and congratulations to them, and we appreciate everything that they bring to it, but have they played the game?
Exactly.
And I'm a firm believer that, I like to listen to somebody who's been in some of those battles and been in some of those wars.
Somebody to cut a net down.
There we go. And I'm not discounting, going to school, being educated, having experience, and none of that because, we're all that ourselves. But, to hear somebody like Grant Hill, who's definitely a seasoned pro of the game of basketball, Mateen Cleaves, who's a NCAA championship winner, and Steve Smith in his own right is a big name when it comes to basketball. I'm good with that, man. They're only going to get better. They have some, room to grow, and I'm just glad that they're given that opportunity.
Do you think, I'm a big fan, like I told you, with the Grantland shows with Bill Simmons and Jalen. There was also an NBA TV show I watched last year with a panel of guys sitting in recliners, and it was some of the greats. Shaq, Magic might have been on there, and maybe it was Isaiah. But I think the studio format is not, everybody's not suited for that environment for their presentation.
I agree, man. And the thing about that is you have to really, you have to be trained for that, man. You have to actually, get some, like they do in basketball. You want to shoot good at your free throws, you got to sit at the free throw line and get some reps in. So those guys actually got to get some, the training. They got to get some opportunities to be there. You can't just be like, okay, let me, pull. I'm not saying I'm pulling them off the streets, but you can't just say, hey, I need you to cover this game and be up against a Hall of Famer and, like you said, Rafferty. You can't do things like that. So maybe that wasn't a good combination. But all in all, man, I have kudos. I give kudos to those guys. I think they're out there giving the game, a pick me up because they played the game, and also they're giving some feedback through a player's eyes.
Right.
And it's a big difference, when you're a player and you've been experiencing some of those things, and somebody who's just researching and doing a social media thing and never played any kind of sports in their life. Just moving on, man. So we got the Final Four, and we're saying nothing really changed much in our Final Four. If we had to pick maybe one team that could maybe make the Final Four and, it's not one of the favorites, who would you go with?
That's still in it.
That's still in it.
I might have to go. Again, Michigan State has had a week to cool off. They had a tough time maintaining momentum, across time and travel and all that different stuff. So, but they have Oklahoma. That's a winnable game. So they could be dangerous. Trice is stepping up. That's the thing. Trice and Dawson they're playing their last game every time they suit up. That's a big motivator.
Definitely, man. And Michigan State is always hitting their stride come tourney time.
Right.
The great time is always a Hall of Fame coach. Seniors, you win championships with seniors. I believe that, unless UK is definitely blows my thought out the water. But I think I'm gonna go with UCLA, man. I'm gonna say UCLA.
I'm gonna mix it up with you a little bit on that one since you walked into that.
Because the thing about it was UCLA was one of the teams that were talked about a lot. not deserving to be in the tournament.
Right.
So I think they played with a chip on their shoulder. The past weekend they played hard. I think they can beat Gonzaga. I don't think that'll be a game where they'll go in and think they can't win, and then I think they'll give Duke or Utah, whoever they play, a good game.
Remember when UCLA won with Toby Bailey and I can't remember. Was Farmar on there?
Yeah, Jordan Farmar.
And they were absent the whole year. In the landscape, the national scene, and then they came into the tournament and kind of and won it. So this again could be that type of run for UCLA, and that's that West Coast bias, that West Coast lag to where we don't see them. But they have had some impressive wins. I'm just gonna say, man, I can't ride with you there, because that's one of the teams that I took a chance on in the first round, was with SMU and Coach Brown, and I lost my damn play. I was looking for places to grab to gain a game on the field, and I had that game had they went and not giving them that goaltend bucket.
Gotcha, man.
A goaltend 3. Go figure.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That's what I was always told. But
I guess we got to leave it at that. I can't beat that.
There it is, man. So I'm gonna say UCLA is a surprise team that maybe can luck up and get in the Final Four. Any more NCAA coverage, man? Basketball.
Before you go on, UNC's in a good place because Wisconsin is playing sharp right now, and Kaminsky, is who he is. But I'm still gonna say, you got an experienced guy in Page. Tokido is, he gets a big jam, a big slam every, 1 or 2 every game that ignites them. And if Roy can mesmerize or trick that team into looking at the rest of these teams like Duke, because they get up for Duke. So if he can make them believe that every team is Duke, they might be able to do a little something too.
Yeah, it's some teams out there. I mean, it's a lot of games that are very interesting. Can't wait to see Coach Sean Miller go against his old team in Xavier Musketeers. So it's good ball all weekend, man. Can't wait to see it, and I hope everybody's excited.
Before you move on, any thoughts on there not being any Cinderella story? Usually they bring Dick, forget his last name, but he does tennis, Ebersol, whatever his name is. But he does that sappy love story with he does it every year. They find, and that third week is when they find those types of stories to tell. So I just thought, had Georgia State moved on, I could have imagined, I think it's Ebersol, but I could imagine the story that we could have heard about Kevin Ware. Last thing before we move on, I didn't realize the guard from Georgia State, they said he was the leading scorer amongst juniors in the country. And now we're talking about him being a first-round talent. Did you see that in him?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. So I ain't gonna give him that much love.
We don't have to stay on it, but that caught my eye that he's a first-round guy, and the Twins are both projected as second-round guys. So that was interesting.
The Twins are now dropped to second round.
In some outlets I did hear them. It was casually thrown out there like they're second-round guys. I think the one Twin could be a first, but like I told you, we said it a couple weeks ago. It seems like they move at that one speed, and I think some teams, some team may value that. Like Pop, he would probably value that. But somebody that's looking for a Rose type guard, they obviously don't do that.
There it is. All right, so let's go. NBA. Got a lot of things going on. We got some of the greats retiring. Steve Nash. We got some playoff, jockeying, like I said, for positioning. Atlanta, OKC, etc. So let's start with Steve Nash, man. He's saying that he's calling it quits. He's definitely a warrior of the game. Played the game right. I know probably a guy you can appreciate. He likes to dish the ball as a point guard. Feed his big man. When they're open, and he's calling it a career, a great career. How do you feel about that?
I don't want to sit here. One of the famous phrases out there from one of the guys, the big guys doing this is cast aspersions. I hate to rob that phrase, ghostwrite or whatever. But I don't, we can't sit here and take shots at Nash's career. But I just I put this on the topics this week because, well, where does he stand amongst guards for you? I mean, I don't want to take away from him being an MVP, but I had to go back to that the back-to-back MVP, the back-to-back MVP titles that he won. And now we're sitting here. We've been arguing the last several weeks between Harden, Curry, and Westbrook. So I went and looked at some of his numbers, Steve's, man, and I'm still baffled at how he got the back-to-back MVPs. I maybe could have understood one of them, but back-to-back?
Yeah, man, they were winning, I guess.
Now, so just to run into it really quickly, he does finish all-time leader in assists in that top three.
Yeah, top three.
But I went and checked him out. He came over to Phoenix in 2004 and took a team that was 29-53. He took them in 1 year to 62-20, and that was with Sean Marion, Joe Johnson, Amari. He beat out Shaq for MVP that year, and at that time he was only one of 3 point guards in history to win it. But I looked at his numbers. They didn't even mention his scoring average, but he was at 11.5 assists per game. And this is where I get down on him. He lost to the Spurs in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals that year. 2005, they go 3 games with Stoudemire. He still manages to lead his team to 54-28. They were bounced out of the Western Conference Finals by Dallas in 6 games. We're not even getting to 7 games. Now, I know the MVP is pretty much decided before the postseason jumps off, but I just can't put you in that rare air and you're not getting either 7th game series or winning 7th games. Am I wrong for looking at it that way?
Nah, you're not wrong at all. The thing about Steve Nash, man, I think he's a great leader, man. I really do, and I didn't really appreciate him till later on in his career, because I thought some of his stats and some of those assists were kind of ballooned in the system that he played in. But if you really check out Steve Nash, he gets pretty good when it gets towards the end of the game. He's kind of clutch, man, because you look at his stat line and he'll have like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 points leading into the third quarter. But Steve Nash will hit some big threes and some big buckets and get some lay-ins, towards the end of the game. I mean, I think was a tough player. I think he's definitely has the right to be celebrated. Not saying you're not saying he shouldn't be celebrated, but I think Steve Nash overall had a great career. He was very, instrumental in getting his teammates involved into the game. He definitely made his teammates better. And then when you mentioned, some of those early bounces in the playoffs, I just look at who was he playing with. You know what I'm saying? Have he ever really played on a great basketball team that can actually? Did he ever have? You look at Avery Johnson, who has a NBA title, maybe 2. I don't know. Maybe I know at least 1. He had the Twin Towers.
I think he got 2.
You look at Tony Parker. I mean, he's playing with Duncan, Ginobili, etc. Man, I don't know if Steve Nash ever really had that. Besides, he played a little bit with Dirk. But who else did he play with?
Joe Johnson. I'm right. I'm just saying, don't get me wrong. Looking into it, he was the floor general for 5 of the best single seasons in offensive efficiencies.
Yep.
5 of the best teams ever, and like I said, he won 54 games without Amari Stoudemire being on there. The highest averaging team of all time was one that was led by him with 112.7 points per game. So I just say all that to say, we go to start a team tomorrow. What point guard do you take?
I say this. If you have a pick and you go with Isaiah Thomas, and if Chuck has a pick and he goes with Magic Johnson, and Steve Nash is there sitting on the corner, bouncing his ball, I'll take him. Because the reason why the guys that I just named, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. How many Hall of Famers did they play with?
Now, Zeke didn't play with a lot of Hall of Famers. That was a team.
No, it was a team, but I mean, Dennis Rodman should be a Hall of Famer.
Well, he will be.
He should be a Hall of Famer.
I thought he got in last year.
He did get in last year.
We have to get Chuck on that somehow.
Chuck Daly is a Hall of Fame coach.
Right.
May rest in peace. Who else is on it? You know, it's a
Gary Payton, Kidd, D Rose before the injury. Iverson. I mean, maybe we move him over to shooting guard.
Too. You like Gary Payton over Steve Nash?
I'd probably take Gary Payton and Kevin Johnson. Yeah. He got in last year, or within the last couple years.
Gotcha.
So like I said,
Kevin Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Over Steve Nash.
Yes, sir.
Wow, man. You see Steve Nash's accomplishments.
I was rocking with Steve Nash when he was at Santa Clara, and I was glad when he popped into the league and did what he did. So, yeah, I'm just creating a debate.
I got you.
I'm just saying though, back-to-back MVPs, and I'll add one more thing. I was looking at trying to see how that happened. Kobe Bryant ran into the rape charges in the summer of 2003.
Yep.
So going into that 2004 season, him and Shaq were splitting votes the whole time anyway,
right.
You know, during that period. So, hey, you know, I'm not going to knock that man. I just always struggle with back-to-back. I mean, LeBron's the only dude to do back-to-back.
Right.
2 times. So we go from LeBron, and the next person on the list is Steve Nash. Okay.
Yeah, man, I just think that Steve Nash is, if we want to name a player who is like, hey, I don't care who's on my team. You mentioned LeBron. LeBron is all about his cast and characters. I need to go get Love, or I'm not signing with Cleveland. I need you to go get the guys from New York, Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Steve Nash isn't that kind of guy. Steve Nash was the kind of guy where, hey, you roll out the ball, I'm going to run with Jay, Wood, and Chuck, and we're going to get it done. They're going to score the basket. I'm going to find them, and I'm going to find them where they can be effective, and let's go. Steve Nash has never had a real solid, tight team like even Kevin Johnson. Steve Nash never played with a Charles Barkley, Dan Marley. Thunder Dan Marley. Marley. Who else? Cedric Sabalas. Nash never had the opportunity, in my opinion. I think when he finally got with the Lakers, they thought maybe they had, some kind of a dream team with Shaq. With Kobe and the twins. What's their names? What's his name at Chicago right now?
Grant.
No, when
the
it was
twins.
Andrew Bynum and what's Gasol.
Oh, Gasol.
They thought they could make some a run in, but other than that, I don't see where Steve Nash has really played with bona fide stars, besides when he played with Dirk.
Yeah, but when you get 62 wins, you did something with those characters all season. But I will say, then we take a look at Russell Westbrook's numbers this year. 27.5, only 3 less assists. Nash's highest season average was 18 and a half. Mm-hmm. Rebounds per game, 7.7. So where I'm sure where Russell was giving up a few assists, he's +4 on Nash in rebounding.
Okay.
And to the same point, without KD on the field and with Serge being down, look what he's doing. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to tear that man's career down. I'm mainly picking a fight. And if anybody can call in tonight or next week and tell me different, I'm taking GP. I'm taking GP first.
I got you, man.
Now, I'm taking Zeke first for mine.
Yeah, I got you. Russell Westbrook, he's shooting 40%. How many MVP candidates have ever shot 40% and won it? Maybe Iverson. Russell Westbrook.
But with the triple doubles though, to see him getting 11 and 12 assists a game during these 10 triple doubles in one season.
Yeah, I would love to see his turnover to assist ratio. assist to turnover ratio.
Here you go with the RPI.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
RPI.
Man. He's just a volume kind of guy, and Westbrook is doing big things. But his team sits at number 8 right now. Steve Nash used to have his team in the top 3. This is a difference. Man, it's about winning to me.
Okay, so I bring it back to winning, and we can move on. I know we're getting ready to get up against the clock.
Yep.
That I think that brand of basketball and that Steve Nash, the signature, what his game was about.
Right.
I feel like that's going to get trumped when you have better athletes and bigger superstars in the postseason. I don't think Nash. I just don't think he can elevate a team unless he has those twin towers. I mean, but I'm not even sure he would do it with if you swapped him out with Tony Parker last year. I'm not even sure he does that because Nash does not do that scoring. That type of scoring. I don't want to belabor the point, but
yeah, Nash can score the ball, but right now to win an NBA championship, what do you need? You got to have a 3-headed monster, right? Who has won the NBA championship without a 3-headed monster? Please, somebody tell me.
Well, the Spurs really weren't a 3-headed monster. They were like a 7-headed monster.
Yeah, but who? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Who has won a championship without 3 bona fide stars?
The Pistons didn't have one. Didn't have that.
What Pistons team?
The Bad Boys. That was like a 6-man team.
But they still had 3 stars though. I mean, think about it.
I'm saying
they had all stars.
There's a difference in having a bunch of guys that can average 17 points and having 3 guys that can all average over in a 7-game series that can get up to 28, 32, 40. I don't think
the Pistons still had 3 all-stars. I don't care any way you spin it, right?
3 all-stars? And who?
Dumars, Isaiah, and sometimes Bill Laimbeer, sometimes John Salley. Sometimes
the Spider.
They just always had 3 all-stars though. They were that kind of team. And let's not forget when they had Adrian Dantley. He was an all-star some years. Mark McGuire, I know he wore an all-star jersey some years. I mean, they just had 3 stars, and Steve Nash has never had that. And I'm not saying Steve Nash is my favorite player, but I just think you need a 3-headed monster to do well in the NBA.
Point taken.
Tournament.
I think I won that one though.
All right. Let's go to so you mentioned Westbrook. So in saying Westbrook, do you think that Westbrook and OKC can hold on for that 8th spot in the West?
They have, and Chuck probably mentions this in today's updates, but they have the Spurs tonight, right? Crucial game. It's going to be tough, man. I mean, and to be honest, I don't even know if I'm rooting for them to make it for the simple fact that they shut KD down for the year, right?
Yeah, it's a done deal.
So Serge is going to miss around. So I'm really not even trying to be witness to this Herculean effort that Westbrook is going to have to author to even make this interesting. So I don't, I'll pass this one to you.
Yeah, man. I think OKC will definitely, hold on to this 8th spot. Of course, Phoenix Suns, they actually thrown in the towel, when they made that huge trade. So I don't think they're a serious threat. And who else is it? It's New Orleans.
I think New Orleans might catch them.
You think New Orleans?
Honestly.
I think that because how many games are there? What, 3 games? 3 games with maybe 12 to play?
Their lead is 3 games?
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 games, either 2 to 3 games with 12 to play. That means that, OKC is going to have to possibly lose. Yeah, they're up 3 games. 3 games, and I think they're over 3.5 over Phoenix or something like that. So they're going to have to actually go on a losing streak, and New Orleans is going to have to go on a winning streak. When you got 3 games lead with 12 to play, you have to collapse. And I don't see Russell Westbrook, letting that kind of collapse take place because, like I said, even though he shoots 40, 41, 42%, shoots the ball all the time, he gets his assists, whatever. But I don't think he's going to let the team, go and fall flat on their face and not make the playoffs. I think that he will somehow will them to the eighth seed, but for an early round exit against Golden State.
Yeah, I told you, I'm. They probably don't collapse. I mean, that is a lot of games to lose with only a handful left. You know, they haven't done well. They're 3-1 versus Golden State. So for the season, so it doesn't bode well. Like I said, it messed up my dream matchup. So I'm mad. I'm hating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So moving right along, Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta was a team, the first half of the season. They're the one, they're the real deal. But now we're getting towards the finish line, and a lot of people are asking, can they actually make a true run in the Eastern Conference playoffs? What do you think?
They just came off that road stretch out west, played 6 or 7 West Coast teams. They got beat by Golden State 114-95. OKC put them down 123-115, and San Antonio beat them 114-95 on the first game back home. So, and then they beat like 3 non-playoff teams. We know they're missing somebody in the middle. Horford at some point is gonna be like UD was. You're banging bigger men, and they don't have the horses in that department. I'm going to go ahead and say, though, I think they'll regroup and be okay. Probably make it to the Eastern Finals. But like I said, man, them referees get involved. I told you when we first started the fifth quarter show, no NBA team is going to go somewhere for the first time and advance. So they'll get to that Eastern Conference Finals most likely, and they'll struggle to get past there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Atlanta. I think that, with Cleveland right now strongly holding on to the number 2 spot, I really believe that they can go into Atlanta and win maybe 1 game or even 2 games to reach the actual NBA Finals.
What's Atlanta's lead down to? Is it 2 or 1 now?
Atlanta over
Cleveland.
Oh no, it's probably at least 7 games.
7? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 8. Well, 8. Yeah, so it's no. Chuck. I think there's no way that Cleveland can catch Atlanta.
Nah,
that's not gonna happen.
Nah.
But I think Cleveland does have maybe a 3 or 4 game over. Yeah, Toronto. So Toronto will not catch them. So I think they'll be a 2, and I think LeBron is confident and can go into Atlanta and win some games. All right, moving right along. Any more NBA or
last thought, man? Rudy Gay's balling this year, ain't he?
Why did it take to this year for him to start balling though? He has all the tools and the body.
Right. I thought everybody seems to struggle with that stop in Memphis except for Conley, but he struggled to take it to the next level. I don't want to hold up our time because we got some NFL and hopefully a little bit of entertainment. So I just want to say, Rudy's having a pretty good year.
Yeah, Rudy. Like I said, man, what is he like? 6'7", 6'8"?
About right in there.
He handle the ball, can finish, can shoot the 3.
Right.
I thought he would be one of the stars of the NBA.
Right.
So hopefully, he can continue to do well, and as Will pointed out, better his career. Moving along to the NFL, if you guys don't mind, a lot of things going on NFL wise. We have the owners meeting, where all the rich billionaires get together in some sunny, nice city and talk about, some rules and, the players and whatever it may be.
How to keep the money.
How to keep the money. I was going to say something else, but I ain't going to say that. Anyway.
When you own something.
Right. One more thing.
T put it last week, right? Was it T?
Yeah.
That was a great call, by the way. But as he alluded to, when somebody owns something.
You better know it.
Hey there, everybody. This is Chuck here with the first update of the night. The Bucks slipped past the Heat last night. Chris Middleton's buzzer beater win the game 89-88. The Mavs rallied in the second half behind Monta Ellis's 38 points to win the game 101-94. The Warriors, led by Curry's 33 points and 10 assists, beat Portland to clinch their division for the first division title since 1976. They won the game 122-108. Dayton's men's team fell to Oklahoma the other day, but the women's team earned their first trip to the Sweet 16 by beating Kentucky 99-94 and will play Louisville 28 at 2 p.m. Brad Keselowski won in a wild finish in California Sunday. A late caution for Kurt Busch's first victory of the year.
So they're talking about adding a possible another playoff team in both conferences, maybe going to right now a 6, maybe going to 7 teams. It's not going to be for this year. Maybe they'll vote on it for the next upcoming season. How do you feel about 7 teams? I think what's going to happen is instead of 2 teams having a bye, your second seeded team will play the third wild card team.
It's a win. I mean, wild card weekend in the NFL to me is the only thing that really rivals the event that is March Madness. The NBA playoffs is garbage. The first round, there's no imagination there. There's no theater there. You move over to baseball. That wild card game is coming along, but it's gonna be a win.
Yeah, definitely. I know one of the things that was kind of a lot of people didn't like about adding a possible a playoff game a team to the playoffs was, I guess you could have, I believe if it's the second seeded team would play, of course they would play that extra wild card team. So that means they could possibly have, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 5 straight home games. So meaning like a lot of teams, it's regular for a team to end a regular season with 2 straight home games. That happens all the time. So then they will play the actual home game against in the wild card, and then they could play another game, the divisional round, and then for the championship round. So that's 5 straight home games. And I guess, if it was maybe one of your smaller markets, it would be tough for them to actually sell out those 5 straight games like that, because you're getting towards, it's during the the holiday season and just coming off the holiday season. So I don't know. I think that was one of the things, because once again, those billionaires meeting about, the NFL, it's about making money.
How to put the money in the bank.
In the bank.
It's going to win. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think and we don't have to stay on that, but playing at home to me would be to the team's detriment, because the wild card teams come in there. The wild card teams are doing well in the road teams, because you don't have to worry about family wanting tickets. You're not sleeping in your own bed. You come to the field that day pissed off, and like Brian Billick said, you kick it in the door and go look for the summer and get it in. So it's a winning situation.
There it is. More football, possible wild card. The teams there was a lot of good teams after a lot of playoffs this year. I think Philadelphia may have won. Did they win 10 or 11 games this year and they make it?
10.
They won 10 games, and so it'd probably be good for teams like that. Also, moving on with NFL talks, you had the vet combine. I mean, this is one of the first times that it's ever taken place. You had some of the veterans of the game who are looking for a job, and give them an opportunity to go out there and compete and show teams, that they still have it. You think that's a good move for the NFL?
Real quick, before we jump in there, we're running up against the clock on these calls. So if people do call in, we will break away and get with the callers. Definitely. I want to talk to some folks tonight. The vet combine, Michael Sam's has been a name there. Brady Quinn somehow came out of wherever. The mighty Brady Quinn. I wonder, can he still bench press 400 pounds?
He better throw a straight spiral.
Right. It's football. They need bodies. People falling out. You got people retiring. Young people, younger players retiring. So it's some spaces being created. Do you think, honestly, can any of these guys have an impact?
Maybe 10 to 15 plays per game. 10 to 15 plays per game. Not a continuous impact. I don't think so, man.
It was good to see Rolando come in for Dallas last year and play a key role on that defense, but that was only created by the absence and the injuries of Lee.
Right.
So I don't know how many guys have that type of story. Like I said, I would be shocked if Brady Quinn actually got picked up. And then Tebow, I don't know if he went to the combine, but Chip works out Tebow.
Yeah, man, I don't know. What's that all about? But Chip, he has full control, right?
He think he can do some things.
Yeah,
he believes in himself.
Yeah, one of us said that he's definitely playing fantasy league football over there. So I guess it's a good thing for the vets to do their thing and, get opportunity to showcase their skills. Speaking of veterans, Adrian Peterson, in Minnesota. What's going on with that, man? I know the Vikings have expressed on numerous occasions that they would like AP to come back to the team, but AP and his management team is not too thinking too fondly of returning back to Minnesota. What's the deal with that?
These guys get upset, especially these running backs get a bad deal anyway from the beginning. 28, 29 years old, they trying to cut you. So I think, man, it's similar or akin to what went on in Detroit with number 20, Barry Sanders. Now he had a new coach come in and he didn't want it. But I'm just saying they shoulder the load of these teams for so many years, and the team that's the centerpiece, the cornerstone of their team. And I think they panicked last year. They kind of wavered a little bit in their support of him. And I think he picked up on that, and now I think his feelings are hurt, and it may be a legitimate issue. They may even be asking him to come back for a little bit more money. But I thought we hit on it last week. You got you a young quarterback. I expect Teddy H2O to do some great things next year. And can you put aside the issues to go in there with your band of brothers and just play with your teammates?
Oh man,
but that's his call,
Yeah, I think what you said initially, you just hit the nail on the head. It's all about the running backs right now being greatly devalued, and I think what he can do is possible. I guarantee you this: if Minnesota will say, "Hey, AP, we'll tear up your contract and we'll give you a big fat signing bonus," I guarantee you he goes right back out there and play. It's all about him wanting to go to a new team.
I heard his agent is not a fan of Minnesota. I heard that's one thing, that his agent is not a fan of that organization.
Okay. Well, at any rate, man, I think it boils down to money, like you just said, Wood. I think, NFL running backs, who knows what the future holds for them. I think AP is getting close to that 30 years of age. So, right now, when you get to that point in your career, you know what they do to 30-year-old running backs. He's just probably trying to get a new signing bonus, big guaranteed.
But he got 15 coming next year.
He got 15 coming.
He got 15 coming.
He probably want 25. Well, you know how it is,
good
man.
luck.
He wants some guaranteed cake, man.
As one of my coworkers said, it's a good gig if you can get it.
But is he originally from the Dallas area?
Right. So, I mean, if he's angling or positioning himself, but I mean, Run DMC has landed in Dallas. I'm sure they got that hard cap. I don't even know if they can make room for him.
Right.
So
I don't know, man.
Ultimately, it's I don't know, man. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if he's on the roster, then he has to run the rock and finish out his career.
Period. Real quick, man, before we the callers come in, Breeze and Rivers. Who has a better chance of not being with the team maybe this season or next season?
I think Breeze will be moving on. I think they've already robbed him of all his weapons. The cupboard's pretty empty. What the hell is he going? Why would you stay there with him?
Exactly.
I mean, why would they let him go on and chase it somewhere else? I think there's the people that know what they know. I think they see some issues with his arm, and he's a shorter guy. And maybe, the everything that came off of Katrina, all that love and goodwill, maybe it's dried up and it's just time to get the paper bags back out. You
just said it, man. And think about Breeze, small guy, never been known for a huge, strong arm. I mean, what type of team is he going to go to? I think he has to be able to play in the dome, at least 8 games out the year. God forbid if he comes to the AFC North or one of those cold weather conferences where the weather gets, windy and snow and whatever. You know how inclement weather gets up north.
That hawk.
So I don't know, man. Hopefully it works out. What about Rivers, man?
I think Rivers, he's the face of that team. No off the field stuff. He's been up and down with his production, but I think ultimately they keep him around. That Big Ben got his big contract real quiet though, didn't he?
Big Ben got paid. Yeah, Big Ben. The thing about Big Ben, you could tell he was in the works for a good contract because he was very quiet
I was
last
getting ready
year.
to say he was silent.
He was quiet last year. He came into camp. He looked, very in shape and lost 20-some pounds. It's like, I've been working out with, what's the running back's name?
From Columbus.
Yeah. What is his name?
Asked me
he
too
got hurt
quick.
against the Bengals.
Yeah, you asked me too quick. I'm sorry.
Oh my God! But anyway,
Le'Veon
Le'Veon
Bell.
Bell. Yeah, he's got in shape and he got paid. So hey, he know what he needed to do.
Was he running sprints with Bell?
Who's doing what he had to do? Because he got that cake.
Right.
What it boiled down to. Also NFL, just real quick, man. Ray McDonald, as you mentioned, signed in Chicago. Hardy signed in Dallas. But how you feel about Mr. Rice, man? Still looking for a team. I don't think he's not close to that 30 years of age yet.
He might be 28, 27.
Yeah, so you think he'll ever get an opportunity to play in a league again?
It's unfortunate, but like you said, the devaluation of the running back is sad because Hardy he was convicted by the judge. He did something. It was a crazy scene that he did with the female, and then McDonald. Excuse me. I heard some local radio men in Chicago that were reporting on what the fans. I'm all. This country is about second chances, but I'm just saying it's unfortunate that Ray Rice. It seems like he's been totally cast aside, and I think it's some organizations out, but. When your production goes, undersized running back, undersized player again, but when your production dips down into that 3.1 a carry, it is kind of hard to advocate for you. But he could get a tryout somewhere, though, right?
I would think so, man. It's sad because the only way I see Mr. Rice getting back into the NFL if he comes back and play for peanuts, and that's just gonna be tough for a person to have his oh my goodness, if it's performance and production and things of that nature.
He'd do it though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, if he want to get back in the league, I mean, what else he gonna do?
McDonald, that guy McDonald. One thing, McDonald is on a 1-year deal that is very inexpensive.
Yeah, right. So hopefully, like you said, man, everybody deserves a second chance. I really believe what hurt Ray Rice the most is when the situation with him came out. He originally got suspended for 2 games.
Right.
And then, when actually the video came out and we saw what really happened, then that really just really tore up his reputation. Some of the things that he was known for as being real good in the community, that was all thrown out the window. But I think Goodell really, if he would have suspended him out the gate for 8 games or the entire season, I think he would be back by now. But when he only got suspended for 2 games and, thought he could come back and play, and then possibly they challenged that and said maybe, it was being tampered, that, his suspension went from 2 to the whole season or indefinitely. I think that kind of done him in.
It doesn't usually turn out for people that challenge the NFL in the courts anyway. That's one thing. But, I'm going to kind of show my age a little bit, although I wasn't there when it happened. But another guy who was very articulate and thoughtful, that had video of him doing something that was irreparable down the road. Kermit Washington. I know it was Kermit. I don't know. I think it's Kermit. When he punched Rudy Tomjanovich in the nose and broke his nose in the middle of a game, he's never been able to get back in the spotlight. I mean, he's never had nothing else to do with the NBA. And I mean, from what I heard and the times that I've seen him on camera, he's a thoughtful guy, but he's never been able to get a foot in the door, to be a professional or an office guy. Another guy, Lane Beer, he won 2 championships in the WNBA and can't even get on a staff. So I think, now he didn't have a transgression that Rice had, but I'm just saying once they have video of you, it's kind of hard to get back in the picture.
It's a
no
wrap.
pun intended.
It's a wrap, man. So let's real quick draft. I'm hearing some whispers out of Tampa Bay that possibly they're not going to go with the quarterback with the first pick in the NFL draft. Is that smart or not?
Now you educated me on that, the importance and the expectations of that quarterback position, and I respect that opinion a lot. they'd be foolish because I think Winston is a gamer. You see that he was accepted to Stanford coming out of high school?
Yes, sir.
So, he has some shenanigans and all that type of stuff. But I think when he put that mouthpiece in and go to calling them calls and dissecting those defense or, doing his pre-snap stuff, he goes to work.
Yeah, the thing about Winston, man, I just understand about he's so smart, man. He breaks down film and X and O's and just, oh, my goodness. He's just so childish. It's just, come on, Winston. You have to know by now. You're the quarterback. You know how the quarterback in Pee Wee football is looked up as the man, the team, whether that be the team mom giving the quarterback extra fruit juices or whatever it may be.
Or handies out to your team. He gets them first. Who gets handed the trophy or the ribbons?
The quarterback.
The quarterback.
And this goes all the way back to Pop Warner football. So, come on, Winston. Hopefully he's past all of that. But I will say if, Tampa Bay has the number 1 pick, they don't actually have a quarterback in-house right now. I mean, who better to go with?
Who would you trade down? Would you trade down or what other player is worthy of being number 1 overall?
Thank you. You just hit the nail on the head, Wood. There's no way, I'm going to pick anybody else number 1. So you would have to trade down, but you would have to give me, it have to be one of those Ricky Williams type, when Mr. Mike Ditka gave up all those picks to, become number 1 to draft Ricky Williams. Boy, what about today? Running backs going to second round now.
Right.
At any rate, so we're saying that the Bucks and Mr. Lovie Smith and his staff, they should go QB. Also, Mr. Winston, it's been heard that he will not participate in the draft day festivities. He won't be there.
It's in Chicago this year, right?
Right. I think he's going to be with the family, maybe at home. Do you think that that's not a good look, or it's okay?
Conversely, I think what you just said, we need to see some signs of maturity and everything, and a business-like or a professional approach. I think this signals something good. I think, you can say that I'm not for all the fanfare. I'm not trying to participate in all of that, the lights and everything. As soon as my name is called, FedEx me my playbook and let me hit the ground running. I think it kind of signals that type of approach.
Yeah, man, and think about it is, who are we or Mr. Goodell or anybody to tell him where he needs to be at on draft night? You know what I mean?
Your ratings.
For your ratings. If he wants to be at home with his family, and if he wants to actually spend time with the ones who help him get where he is, that should be okay, man. Because like you said, what's going to happen is you're going to get that phone call, and it's like, hey, we're picking number 1. We're going to get the playbook sent to you ASAP. But you're going to get on the plane that morning and have to do the news conference, at the city who drafted you. So
that's true. So maybe FedEx doesn't happen.
So whatever happens, he will be there the next day with the organization. So I don't think he needs to be there.
Joe Thomas, a high number 1 pick, he was fishing or something, right?
Yep.
So I would expect more players, if they think about it, to start making it a personal thing and going away from that whole thing that plays out in New York City. That's the coverage. More people with mics in front of their faces, the women with the skirts on and the heels and everything. And last year I thought it was over the top production, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Mama on your arm,
yeah,
she got her prom dress on. Yep. Come on, let me play football.
Definitely, mom's gonna have a professional makeup artist to her face. But real quick, man, talking about the draft, I got 2 things. One is, of course, the 5th quarter is doing a March Madness thing right now for the folks who listen to our show and just the folks in general who wants to participate, with the 5th quarter and what we have going on. I think our next big event is going to be a draft event. We have some restaurants, we have some sports bars who have actually been, actively seeking us and possibly host a draft day party there. We'll do the draft coverage. We'll actually, let the fans get opportunity to get on the mic and talk to their talk about their respective teams and how they feel, how they're drafting, or just any kind of football in general. So be looking at that, coming down the road. Real quick, guys, who do you know who was the last number 1 pick who missed the draft, did not participate in the draft day festivities?
The last number 1 pick. Any idea, Chuck? Hold on.
Okay.
The number 1 overall.
Number 1 overall pick.
I don't want all this dead space, man. So I don't know.
We got to stick with the local guys, man. You know, that's also the only reason why I brought it up. Mr. Dan Wilkerson out of The Ohio State University, drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, was not at the draft back in 1993, I believe. Either 93 or 92. Local, man. We put him in there at any rate. Moving right along. Any NFL talk?
No, I mean, I will say, man, you know, we're 8 after the hour and lines are open. So I would text out some people. I will say that I heard Schefter came out and reiterated that my Redskins, or the Washington Redskins, their interest in Mariota is legit. So it's kind of disturbing to me that I've seen some still photos, and again, you've put me on to some things about some different technical things about quarterbacks. And I noticed some things anyway as a former athlete. I've seen some still pictures of Marcus Mariota, and I noticed it during the playoffs, the tournament in college football. He has some awkward motions in his throwing, or some awkward angles in his throwing motion that is bothering me.
Yeah.
Even as a novice, you know, and looking at players in that way. But you know, in the games when they do they pause the quarterbacks and they show that graphic of where that V is between, it's something awkward about him, man. And then, like I said, his performance against Ohio State, he's just not that guy for me. And I can't say whether he's gonna be horrible or bad. I heard his pro day was so, but like I said, I'm just disturbed that my team would sit here and really consider bringing him in and turning things upside down when we could foreseeably go with RG3 for 8 games. Now we can talk about that real quick. With Cousins working out with John Gruden, and we might have to mix entertainment in between some calls. I don't know. With Cousins working with Gruden, why wouldn't you just go with RG3 if you want to give him, you know, are we above 500 after 6 games, or where are we 1-3 to start out? I would rather work with him and then maybe make a move. I just think, you know, I would really be disgusted if Mariota was the move.
Yeah, man. The thing about it is, I want the fifth quarter, the people who tune in and listen to us, understand that we're not just 3 guys up here just, you know, blabbering at the mouth and, you know, just talking out of the side of our neck. We actually do a lot of film study. We do, you know, some cut-ups, some comparing. I mean, what little time we do have, we do actually take this seriously. And I'm glad Wood actually brought up Mariota and some of his mechanics and some of, you know, his throwing style, because, you know, I actually looked at him the other day personally, and his mechanics is off, man. And and I mean, he has all the tools, but to me, when the first thing you mention about a player is, you know, well, they have a good personality, or they're going to be a great leader.
Interviews.
I mean, come on, it's about your production on the field. And then the thing about it was, I was like, I'm not going to bring that out there right now. But I'm glad Mr. Woody Johnson of the New York Jets, I believe their owner. Woody. He came out and said that Geno Smith is like miles and miles ahead of Mariota. Wow. So, I mean, I don't know if you can actually, you know, close the gap with Mariota and getting him where he needs to be. But, man, I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't. The guy is a second-round grade at best, man. I hate to say it, man.
I was since we got time to work other things in, I was actually wondering, could he have a Brady Quinn type fall? There was another guy I thought that fell in recent years, but he could be a dude that they got to take out of the green room, you know, and let him decompress somewhere in the back or something. I mean, but I hope he's a top 10, top 12 guy, because, you know, I want him to be successful, and, you know, he's prepared. He had a great college career, so he's earned different things. Looks like we got somebody calling in. Maybe misfire. But yeah, I hope he does well. Like I said, I just hope it's not my team. I'm actually hoping that the Redskins trade down and maybe McLuhan has some moves up his sleeve to get a bevy of talent in year one. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, since we are talking NFL, I'm super excited that the Redskins signed that Chris Culliver. I think he's a legitimate, I don't know, top 5, whatever cornerback, but we got a professional coverage guy over there now.
And that's the thing that you're a big Redskins fan, so we talk about each other teams to one another all the time. I think that's a big pickup for the Redskins because that's what they need. They need some help, in the defensive backfield. Somebody who's proven, somebody can come over there and actually help get the other guys, help them, cover up some of their mistakes. And I think he's that kind of guy. I think you can actually, give him an assignment and he carries it out well. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar over there, but I tell you what, he does have some hands where he can make some picks and turn the ball over. And I think that's what you need with the defensive, backs. You need somebody who can get the offense the ball, and I think that is a good pickup for you guys.
And it was under the radar. I mean, the money wasn't outrageous. And like I said, I don't know if he's an all-pro guy or a Pro Bowler or what have you, but I feel like we got a guy over there. We can see what Bashard comes in and does this year, and that's one part of the puzzle, solved.
Yeah, definitely, man. And the thing about it with the NFC East, we have Dallas getting rid of.
You going into that?
I'm just saying the NFC is getting rid of. But we can go into that too. With Bryant, you got to be able to stop Dez Bryant. You got to be. Who else is over there?
ODB.
Oh my God! You got to. Where does he line up in the slot or does he line up on the edge?
I would imagine he's getting ready to be moved out there into that prime time performance area.
To that money spot.
Yeah, to that money spot.
Yeah, so you definitely need some DBs. But you're speaking about the NFC East, man. I think that Dallas really had a good stronghold on that division. But I think with some of the moves, especially letting Murray walk, I think things are going to open back up for the NFC East. I think Philadelphia's definitely got it a lot better with some moves that they made. I really believe if Coach Gruden is patient with RG3, the thing about RG3, if Gruden can work with Andy Dalton,
thank you,
he has to be able to work with RG3. Don't you think so as a fan?
It's some things that need to be worked out, and he has to. Like I said last week, some of the stories that I heard that keep coming out, he needed to be humbled. And I think now that we've gotten through to him and he's facing that career arc that VY had, Vince Young, his feet are held to the fire. And I think we're going to, like I said, if we're 2-6, 3-5, okay, then, Arakpo, in leaving out, he has some, he's gone to Tennessee now, I believe. Arakpo has some encouraging things to say. And like you said earlier, I'm getting this from a player. And when a player looks at another player and says he's serviceable or better, I got to take him as his word. And he said he believed that, what I just said, that RG3 knows what time it is. He's going to put in the work. And he thought he could be okay. Now, like I said, things could still go wrong. There could be some tip balls. You throw more interceptions than you expected. Does he read better? Can he audible? All these things that a third, fourth year guy should be doing. Does he start showing those signs? I hope so. We don't have to stick with football. We had other things we can circle back to. We can get through some entertainment,
Definitely, man. Definitely. So we got a call coming in. Let's go live.
Good evening. You're on the air with the fifth quarter. Good evening. You're on the air with the fifth quarter show. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Brian White. I'm calling from Dayton, Ohio. And I wanted to give my take on the MVP race. You know what I mean?
Okay, we talked about it earlier. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts are kind of like I give it to James Harden, mostly because I think he's got, it kind of seems kind of strange calling Dwight Howard the weakest sidekick, but honestly, Russell Westbrook's had a lot of, had a lot of the former MVP. LeBron James got Kyrie Irving. It just seems like he's doing the most with the least. And he's at night in and night out. He's the one guy on his team that you can key on. If you're Steph Curry, you got Klay Thompson. If you're Harden, everybody's looking to stop you, and he's still getting it done. So that's pretty much why I'd give it to him. I'm not saying those other guys aren't good players or aren't doing a lot. I'm just saying that I think he's got the hardest. I think it's easiest for teams to swing their defense to him.
Yeah, you get no argument for me. I've been advocating for Russell, just kind of trying to be a thorn in the side of the show. But I'm with you. I think if we look at it roster for roster, with Parsons not being in Houston anymore, and with D. Howard being inactive for several weeks now, and for the team to be where it is, and arguably the harder of the two conferences, how could we not go with Harden?
Yeah, and the one last thing is I think that Howard he can't get his own shot. I mean he's a beast and everything else, but I mean when Kevin Durant is playing, he demands attention. He can come outside, he can shoot jumpers. If you're not throwing it if you're not throwing it inside, he's not doing anything. So I think that's kind of my thoughts. I mean, Westbrook's a great player. I think he's gonna win one, and I think whoever wins it is gonna be deserving because this is one of those years when you can make arguments either way. But basically, it's a year where he's got it really, really the hardest. So that's my 2 cents.
So one question for you. So looking at the standings today, if the season ended, they would have Houston playing against San Antonio. How do you think the Houston Rockets would fare against the Spurs in a 7-game series opening round?
In a 7-game series, I like the Spurs. I don't like the Spurs winning on the road, 3 games, 4 games, 3 series. But one series where you basically got one of the longest, if not the longest, tenured coaches in the NBA, got all those championships, know how to win, know how to shut down players. Spurs are not a better team. Well, no, I'll take that back. They don't have better players. But as a team goes, I just don't think how you can ever count them out. I mean, you're just going to need 2 or 3 games of Harden need to be a hero, and I think just one of those games he's going to be off, and it's going to be the Spurs, kind of like it was when they got started last year when they had a really tough opening round series and then just kind of actually pretty much cruised through the rest of it.
Okay. Any other sports thoughts to get out there, or anything to add on to that?
Yeah, and just switching gears because I know there's probably been a lot of talk about the March Madness. I've been really kind of following the free agency, and one of the things I think is kind of interesting is I like the salary cap because Dallas couldn't keep, say, for example, they couldn't keep their DeMarco Murray, their running back, and sign Des Bryant, where there's no salary cap. Everybody knows Jerry Jones got a ton of money. He can get whoever he wants. So I think it makes, right now, not just interesting conversation, but I think it makes the league more competitive in the fall because everybody's got the same amount of money to spend, and you got to say, well, if I'm going to spend $20 million on this guy, well, I got to go get a bunch of $3 million guys and so on. So I just, in the NBA, we've got a soft salary cap, and I just wanted to get kind of your talk of maybe, do you think the NBA should move to a hard cap where rather than teams being fined and having to pay if they should go to a hard cap so that you got a fixed amount of money and you can spend it on one good player or three average players or however you want to do that. So that's my next topic.
The NBA personnel and the financial side of the NBA is a mystery to me. I mean, you watch a team trade 6 players and for one player, and then they cut off 5 players, and then somehow balanced, and you got the exceptions, and you got to be a master at Monopoly to even figure out how they move it around. I wouldn't mind if it was a hard cap, and I think that might be something that would really propel the NBA for, from probably being in the, I don't know if they're probably straddling the second and third as far as the big 4 or big 3 sports. But I think if they want to take that step and go back to really challenging the NFL, they need to spread these players out amongst these teams. But I think they're happy with Minnesota and Milwaukee and maybe even Sacramento. There's a couple other teams. I think they're happy, New Orleans, with them being feeder teams to the pillars of the league with New York, Boston, LA. I think they're okay with just you draft these players, you groom them, and then we'll come pick them up when they're ready for that max contract.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that means you get down to this time of year and we're basically down to 16, 18 teams that are really even worth following. Pretty much the playoffs in the East are set. Playoffs in the West, there's a couple that jockeying, whereas at the NFL, any given time, the talent level is so close, player gets hurt, someone has an off day, team can win, make a push, but it's like Minnesota, they've been playing for next year for how many months? Philly the same way, and it just seems like when you do that, it just cuts down on the fan interest, and it's just always the same teams. If you watch like the fan favorites on I think the NBA channel, they're always voting in the same few teams because there's so many teams that just aren't. They might be entertaining, but the outcome of the game has no impact on the season. And I think that's really, where we've got everybody's locked in. No one's going to catch Atlanta. Maybe someone catches Cleveland, probably not. Out west, no one's catching Golden State. So you don't really have that, if I don't win this game, I go from a 1 seed to a 3 seed like they have in the NFL. And I think that maybe, I'm not saying total parity, but I'd like to see a little bit more so that the games would actually be more entertaining for the fans versus, we're just going to rest our players because these guys are playing for next year and we can still beat them anyway.
Right. So, Brian, I realize that you are actually a participant in our first bracket challenge, and we thank you for taking the time to sign up and get involved in that with us. I see you're kind of in the middle of the pack with myself. Any thoughts on, we talked March Madness a little earlier. Do you think you can make a play, or are you mathematically eliminated, or have you kind of reshuffled your Final Four, Elite Eight?
No,
is there a team?
I didn't pick Kentucky to win it, so I still think I
saw that.
And it's not that I think that they're a bad team. I just think that chasing history, being one of those that's going to be, we're going to be the undefeated team. I just think that pressures, they're 18, 19-year-old men. I think that pressure is going to catch up with them sooner or later that they're chasing history. And, the regular season, not so much. But when you got to play some good, last weekend, hey, they were top seed. They didn't really have that hard of a game. This weekend, there's not that many easy games. And the next weekend for sure. So I look for them to either fall on Sunday or maybe early next week. I don't even see them realistically just being able to carry it through and get tipped in the final like that one UNLV team. I think they'll lose before their last game.
Okay. Hey, well, look, we appreciate your call. We're getting ready to wrap things up, so we're glad that you made it in. We hope you call back in the future, and we definitely want to get your take on as the draft nears. You seem to have a different viewpoint as far as team building and some different things that I'm into. So we hope you can make it back on board with the show.
All right, definitely.
Hey guys, Chuck here with your second update. Derrick Rose says he is pain-free and ready to return by the playoffs and not before. The Eastern Conference 8 seed competition is getting very hot. Great that you guys were touching on that earlier. Boston currently holds the spot, and Charlotte, Indiana, and Brooklyn are all within a game and a half. Westbrook's domination continues as he gathered his 15th game of the season with at least 25 points and 10 assists. His MVP case is getting stronger. Brock Lesnar announced that he's going to decline a return to MMA, and he is going to sign on with the WWE. And the Cleveland Browns announced that they turned down an offer to be on HBO Hard Knocks series to avoid bringing more attention to Johnny Manziel as he tries to prepare to make a strong case for the starting quarterback position. Be sure to click subscribe while you're watching. Back on over to you guys.
Good evening. You're on the air with the Fifth Quarter Show. What's your name, caller?
This is Bama Freddy.
Say again?
Bama Freddy?
It's Bama Freddy.
Oh, okay. You came in with something else. What you got for us tonight, boss?
I was just calling in, see what's shaking up tonight.
We talking a lot of things, man. NFL, we just finished up wrapping up on some NFL. You know, March Madness is out there. What you got for us?
Sure, I was looking at, a lot of these moves in the NFL. My Bears. Seems like, we're trying to put Band-Aids on this defense. A bunch of one-year deals, a couple of casts in defense line. We signed a boy from San Francisco, Ray McDonald.
You okay with that?
Well, the thing is, one time they said he was falsely accused, and the charges were dropped. The second one's still pending. So until that one gets cleaned up, until he's found guilty, then I feel everybody's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? If he hasn't been proven guilty, he should have a right to play. That's about the best move they've made.
You got a rookie GM down there, right? Pace.
Yeah.
So, I'm not too hateful on the McDonald thing. We talked earlier, and that was one of the key things that we said was that, it's a lot of stuff going on in this country. And to run into something quickly, I was listening to Marcellus Wiley on a show yesterday on the air. He said that a woman, he got an altercation, blew up. He knew what was getting ready to happen, so he ran out of the house and was actually standing in front of the house or apartment with the police officer, and the female had called the cops, and she actually was yelling out the window that Marcellus, like, get off of me, Marcellus, like he was actually choking her, and Marcellus was down there standing next to the police officer.
Yeah, that happened. A friend of mine, his wife was hitting on him. He leaves, and he goes outside. He calls 911. Well, she found out he called the cops. She starts punching herself in the face. And so, that's what I'm saying. There's two sides to every story. And especially with these guys making millions of dollars, these women, they'll do anything to make a buck. I'm not saying that happens in all cases, but that does happen against the men sometimes. So people need to take that into consideration, before they rush to judgment sometimes also.
Yeah, we definitely agree. Hey, Bama Freddy, one question.
All right.
With the draft coming up, who do you think the Bears should go with?
Well, seeing as that we need safety here, we signed Roll from the Giants, but he's 32 years old. He's better than what we had, but I think if they can, I think they need to get Landon Collins from Alabama. But I think they need to get him because they need a young safety, too, to bring along. Because, Roll, he'll probably be good for, this year, maybe next year also. If not, So I've seen a couple of mock drafts where now they're saying Amari Cooper might fall to 7. If he falls to 7, you got to get him. You know, he's the best wide receiver in the draft. I know everybody, Kevin White went in and electrified people to draft, but if you've seen reports lately, they say they got Amari Cooper's 40 time wrong. They say he ran a 4.35.
I think we talked about it. Oh, go ahead.
And so, you know, and that's the thing. He's the most polished receiver. Like I said, Amari Cooper is Jerry Rice. Kevin White is Terrell Owens. That's how I look at him.
Yeah, I like that comparison. You know, I think, like you said, I think if you want someone that's getting in and out of them breaks and can do the whole route tree and all of that popular terminology, I think you obviously go with Amari. He's probably going to be a Marvin Harrison type guy as far as very quiet, you know, not all the excessive celebration and stuff. But, you know, he probably starts for you for 10, 12 years, sets your all-time receiving record for your team, I'm hoping, and has that type of career. But Kevin White might be that next Dez Bryant, you know, type athletic, you know, just problem out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thing about Amari Cooper, though, I mean, you use Marvin Harrison. He's more explosive. The reason why people don't look at Amari Cooper as being explosive is because he's not extravagant. You know, he doesn't bring a lot of attention to himself. You hardly ever hear him talk. He's about his business. So
yeah,
I mean,
I didn't mean to compare him in any way athletically. I was just saying in terms of being that face of your wide receiver. Right. That's all I was saying.
Right. But that's why I think if Amari Cooper's there, you got to take him, and that's any team. You know, I mean, that's just bottom line. But if he's not there, I'd say we need to either get a safety or we need to get a linebacker. Safety or linebacker, one of the two.
Okay.
Or even a nose guard. I like the boy from Washington, the nose guard from Washington. I like him.
You can never get enough D linemen, huh?
Yeah, I like him because they're talking about the Bears going to run a 3-4. You got to have somebody in there to eat up those blocks for the linebackers.
Real quick, Bama Freddy, because we respect everything that you bless us with each and every time you call in. If you had to give us a surprise team for the March Madness, actually making it to the Final Four, who would it be?
Gonzaga.
And why? Real quick.
Gonzaga, because they have the size and they have the shooters. And to beat Kentucky, you got to have some size to compete on those boards, but you also got to have some shooters because you're not going to beat Kentucky living in the paint. So you got to bring them out. You got to have some bigs that can the stretch bigs. You got to have some stretch bigs to bring those big guys out of the paint.
There it is, man. Hey, thanks for calling in, Bama Freddy. We appreciate it, man. You always are so cordial and thoughtful with your speak and all your sports knowledge, and we greatly appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks, man.
All right, later.
Good evening, caller. You're on with the Fifth Quarter Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Diane, and I'm calling from Ohio. And my comments on are you on the Empire, talking about Empire right now?
We're looking for entertainment conversation, so we just finished up with the last call on it. What was your thoughts on the finale?
I get sick and tired of us as black people always being so dysfunctional. I mean, we can't just go through something and get it straight. We got to go through dope. We got to go through crime. We got to go through prison. We got to go through everything else. And I know that it happens in other races, but when the focus is on us all the time, I'm tired of it. I mean,
so you're saying they don't do these same things on Nashville, the television show Nashville.
I don't look at it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
I'm sorry, but Nashville is not for me.
Okay, well, I just was throwing out a point, but finish with your point.
No, and I just wish that like Taraji had already let it out on Steve Harvey's show earlier, a week or two ago, that somebody else would be going to prison. Well, you had to figure that it's going to be the husband this time, or her ex-husband. So I already knew right then and there. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just sick and tired of that. I guess I have to go back to romance and love stories, because it's no love in the families. I mean, what father takes his little gay son and puts him in a garbage can? I mean, yeah, gay has come out and is very open now. I mean, there would be a lot of garbage cans that would be filled up when the men come around to pick them up. But I just, I just didn't go along with some of the stuff that was in there, and I really didn't like Taraji playing that part.
Okay.
I didn't.
So let me ask you a question. So two things. Are you probably not likely to tune in for the second season? And then also you mentioned putting blacks or African Americans in better stories.
Yeah, because I mean, we are not that dysfunctional. I mean, I was raised in a home and we did everything that normal people do, and that was it. And my friends were like that, but
right. So I'm just asking, as an alternative, have you checked out Being Mary Jane? And
I look at Mary Jane over and over and over and over, and to me, she's a typical black woman that can't find her a good black man. She had him, and for some reason that there's no trust. The trust was messed up some kind of way, mixed up, and now after she finds out that he has a white woman, which is one of our typical things right now, I mean, it just, I don't know. I look at her and I'm thinking, dang, if I could only write part of that show, if I could just be a writer on this show, and they could show that there's so many strong black women out there making it without a man, not having to have somebody else to just going to come and drive your car around and waiting for your payday and things like that. I mean, they just make it seem like, we're that desperate for men. I haven't had a man in a long time, but all I can say is that I'm going to be right here in this bed by myself if I unto death, because I'm not taking care of no brother. No brother and no other kind. Mexican, Chinese, whatever you want to call them, white men, and then I'm not going that route. But I just don't. If they could just show, when they show, like Blackish, it's supposed to be similar to the other family, the family with the Bill Cosby. And,
with the Huxtable.
And, yes. And now that they have found out all this stuff about him, even though he hasn't admitted it, I mean, that's supposed to be similar to that. I can't look at that show for 5 minutes. All I can see him sit and do is see Blackish, and then I turn the channel.
All right, well, look, we're going to get you off of here because we're trying to get in one other call. We thank you for your opinion and calling in and talking some entertainment with us. We're sorry, that's 0 for 3 on shows that they tried to put out there for, audiences, urban audiences or whatever they want to call it. So thank you for your call.
Well, tell them to come knocking at my door here.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So we're back, fifth quarter. Just got a lot of things going on. We covered a lot of sports topics. We went through some NCAA hoops, NBA, and NFL, and everything was very informative and well discussed. So we're going to be through with the sports portion of our show because, we are the fifth quarter, sports and entertainment. And we're going to go with the entertainment side. Got a lot of things going on with Empire coming to a finale. The show was hot. It increased in ratings every year. The network is asking for, the show creators to go to a full-fledged series, 22 episodes or whatnot. But we don't know what that's going to come about. But and let's just talk about the season finale, man. How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? Did you get a chance to see it? Because I know you you want a week behind. So have you saw the finale yet?
Actually, from last week's show, I was on the road and we were doing this while it was on, so I waited and just watched it on DVR or demand a couple days ago. I don't want to be long-winded about it. We did get a couple of calls into it. I just think, at some point, like I said, the flashbacks they're using that a little too much for me. And then also, I think at some point in time, you have to go ahead and move forward with the story. It just can't be controversy every 2 minutes. Like I said, Cookie and I mean, we all know that Lucius is a bad guy, manipulative person, and this and that. But you have to have some story. We just can't. We can't reveal a new controversy or some new drama every 30 seconds and come back the next scene and all the same characters are back in the same room again. I mean, so, it's cool to tune in. I think the way they've ended it with the family turning against him, with the exception of Jamal, I don't know if I really buy into that as far as just why did they hate on Jamal at the end, as far as, just because you knew one person was getting named anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's in sports. At the beginning of these seasons, it's only going to be one winner. So he said he was going to name one successor. So that all of them, Jamal tried to be, I'm going to do it differently than our dad. I just need y'all to help me do it. And then they turn around and try to overthrow my man. So we'll see what happens, man. I probably, depending on what the trailer is, or the previews for next year, I might give it some time.
Yeah, man, and I'm glad you brought that point up, because when we watch these shows, every show should have a title for the episode, correct?
Correct.
So you would probably follow the title and have some kind of story along the line of the title, and you tell it and for that episode, and then you come to some kind of conclusion, whether it's good or bad. And, I'm glad you said that, because from what I'm hearing about Empire, that it's just too much stuff going on, man.
It's messy.
It's very messy. And I know for a fact that the show, one of the show creators is Mr. Lee Daniels, right?
Right.
And I believe Lee Daniels is one of Tyler Perry's buddies. They kind of, run in the same circle or something.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you guys this. One of the people that I, listen to and read about, they were saying about the show, they don't have anything against it. It's very entertaining, but as a true show and have a true fluid storyline, it just goes everywhere. And they were saying it's to them. Now, this is to them. This is their opinion. I pose this question to you. It's nothing more than a Tyler Perry movie with better acting. Do you feel that Empire is kind of that Tyler Perry, how where you got Madea over here doing one silly thing, Cookie, then you got Brown doing another silly thing, Lucius, and I'm not saying that they're Madea or
parallel,
but I'm just saying, do you think that the Empire show it has too much going on and not bringing a real good conclusive story?
Well, that's kind of what I just said, is that at some point in time, you have to tell a good story. You just can't keep revealing controversy, and you can't. It's like, you might as well run along with the formula for the reality shows. We're gonna sit these two people we know don't get along together. We're gonna put them at the club. We're gonna have them meet solo, and we're gonna have them have a few drinks, and then we know it's gonna blow up.
Right.
It's gonna be a drink thrown, some hair pulled, and some slapping and some choking. And like I said, as a story, to your point, and it's been our discussions on Tyler Perry, there's got to be some meat to the script, to the storyline. And JR just didn't backstab and manipulate people every damn show.
No.
He did it over the course of those 22 weeks.
Right.
And, he did some power moves in there, throughout it. But Lucius got 6 power moves per segment each show. It's too much.
Yep. Do you think the Tyler Perry comparison was unfair, though?
I will say that their plays with stereotypes and whatnot, they've been a little they've been handled a little better. You know, Tyler Perry go get a church deacon in real life to play a crack seller in his movie.
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying? He got somebody in his movie who never even smoked a cigarette and put the cigarette in their mouth backwards.
Oh,
You
my
know
goodness.
it. So that's my problem with Tyler Perry. Is just the authenticity in the selection of his cast. I'm sorry to take it there.
Gotcha.
We break for a call real quick. Oh, you're on with the fifth quarter. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Larissa Collins, calling from Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, what's going on with you tonight? What you calling in to talk about?
Oh, nothing much. Empire.
All right,
I'm
now we
not
looking
really
for some.
a big sports person, so sorry, but
Well, no, that's why we do entertainment too. So, what was your thoughts on the finale? The show was done for the year. Were you a fan of it? The way it ended, or did anything really not work for you and how they shut things down for the season?
one, I am a huge fan, and two, I am just hurt that it's over with. But I know it'll be back soon. And three, I loved the finale. I wasn't sure if it would keep my attention for 2 hours, but I think he did a really good job of throwing in a little, things that I wasn't expecting. I think that's pretty good at kind of picking up on things, but a lot of things I did not know what was happening. So I was kind of upset that they killed Malik Yoba off, but I mean,
That they killed who?
Malik Yoba off.
Oh yeah, that was a down point.
Yeah,
for
but
me,
I heard he's got some now. I don't know if this is true, but I guess maybe he has some substance abuse issues going on. So that's why they had to let him go. But I'm not sure if that's all true. But I think he was just as surprised as the audience was with him being let go. So, but hey, that's what happened in entertainment business.
So was there anything that disappointed? I mean, I hear you're a big fan, and I got a lot of issues with it. I think I'm a very critical guy. I don't want to run all those down. But was there any problems that you did have with the show?
The biggest problem I had was the openness of teens, young people having sex, and it didn't seem to bother anyone. That was my biggest problem with the show. Everything else, everything else is kind of, and I know that's reality. I know it is, and I know that's what they were, going at. But I just feel like if young people were up watching it, which a number of them were, my own children, I didn't even know they were watching it. They were getting on a website and watching it on this website, and they weren't even allowed to watch it. They knew about the characters, and I'm like, where are you watching this at? And they've gotten online to watch it, and they did a poll at a school, and they said a lot of the kids are watching this. So I just think, if they're watching this, they look at it as it being okay to do. So, I think his audience is mainly geared toward adults, which, we can make those, decisions. But a lot of young people are watching it, and that was my biggest problem with it, is that the openness of them being able, to have sex and pushing sex. The music was geared around sex and having, boyfriend and a girlfriend, having this and having that, so it was just, that was my biggest thing. For just
it is very forward, and it's obviously coming on, I believe, at 9:00. So I'm gonna ask you one question. Just I'm trying to pick at my point. We haven't covered entertainment for the night, so I'm just kind of saving it for that. But do you think that they're using the flashbacks a little too much? The story. Because I think after we saw what happened with Olivia, the flashbacks that led to Lucius coming out that he was the father of the child.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping that we were done with the flashbacks. And then this week in the finale, we had the flashbacks come again about him putting Jamal in the trash can.
Right.
And I'm just like I said, for me, for people that have followed the show, I think it's kind of taken away from my viewing experience to keep reminding me of what I already know.
Gotcha. I feel where you're going with that. I think what they were trying to do with that is to maybe catch up the audience that had not seen it, and just kind of maybe, like I said, catch them up to where they needed to be so they can understand, like, okay, well, this is what happened, and I think that's where they were going with that. But I feel you. I mean, if you are an avid watcher, you don't need to keep knowing that Jamal got thrown in the trash can. I mean, we've seen that about 4 or 5 times.
Okay, okay.
So I feel you on that, but I think that's where maybe they were leading it to for those people who maybe just were catching up on it, or may have been watching it for the first time. I don't know.
Gotcha. Last question, because we wanted to try to get on some other calls tonight. If you can tell me, is it too much drama? I mean, Cookie is getting put out. In between 2 commercial breaks and 1 segment of the show, Cookie is getting kicked out of the boardroom. She's getting locked out of the Empire, the building. She's getting kicked out of the house. And then the next morning, she's back in the boardroom. She's back in the office building. She's back in the home. I mean, and that's Jamal kind of trying to play her in. And then my last thing that kind of bothered me was Jamal had been the civil person in this thing the whole time, but now as he's trying to ascend to the be taking over Lucius's spot, he actually just mans up and goes to Beretti and puts him over over the side of the building. It just got ramped up a little too quickly for me.
Yeah, I don't think I do agree with you. I think like making Jamal into this like overnight thug was maybe not a good move. And I think the thing with Cookie is, I don't know, I think it was just he wanted us to see how quickly things could turn around, how bad she was. Like, okay, I'm gonna get you back, that's why I think, with that issue. So I don't know, but we'll see.
Okay, well, thanks for your call. We hope for you some other shows that come on maybe next year, or maybe you can call back and talk with us on some music.
Gotcha. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Chuck here with your final update of the night. Dwight Howard will return to the Rockets tonight against the Pelicans. He will be on a 20 to 25 minute limit. The Spurs and Thunder play tonight at 9:30. Be an interesting game for the Thunder as they try to sneak into the playoffs. The Heat take on the Hawks Friday at 7:30. The Warriors and Grizzlies go at it Friday at 8 o'clock. The Sweet 16 kicks off Thursday as Kentucky will take on West Virginia at 9:45, followed by Xavier in Arizona. The NASCAR circuit heads over to Martinsville this weekend. And be sure to click subscribe if you're watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, so we're covering Empire, and like we said, season finale. A lot of things going on during the show. You have so many different storylines, so many different talking points with the show, and we were just saying that we just need one consistent show, one consistent storyline with a good conclusion after as hours worth of watching.
Just to jump in with one more pet peeve, I told you the flashbacks, them turning Jamal into a thug, but then what's her name from American Idol, Effie from Dream Girl, Jennifer.
Yep.
Jennifer Hudson goes from being the psychiatrist to leading the choir. Andre finds God, and then Lucius comes in and blows that up, and she ends up being a key performer in the Lucius Lyons experience, all in a week and a half. I mean, she go from being churched up to singing some secular song with a couple rappers on stage. The pace is too quick, man. And I mean, somebody on the program, somebody, the story writers, the showrunners or whatever, slow it down and build some of this, man. You don't have to do everything every week.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna take it and break it off to like what the young folks say. I guess they're trying to do the most.
Do the most.
There it is. All right, man. Thinking about Empire, we talked about that. So Mary Jane. So let me ask you this question. You got Mary Jane out there. I'm hearing they're doing good things this season. Which show is better?
I'm gonna rock with Mary Jane, man. I know her situation is a little messy too. I would kind of disagree with the earlier caller, Diane, about from one thing. I'm not so sure that. I think they're trying to tell the professional or the successful black woman's. I think they're trying to tell her plight in a lot of different ways, and I don't think she really needs a man to complete her. I just feel like she's genuine. Come on, man. Women we've been taught that they're the weaker vessel.
Right.
And I think she's just ascended to a point in her professional career. She's attractive. She takes care of herself. She makes good money. I just think she wants somebody, a regular, a consistent person to go to the movies with or have dinner with. I think she's just looking for love. All of her decisions haven't been good through these 2 seasons. And I think they're Akil, I think is the name, is the lady that's the writer. Akil Brock. Anyway. Yeah,
close enough.
I like what she's doing with the show, man. I really do. It kind of got off to some uneven footing this year, and there's a couple different messages. And one thing I wanted to ask you, and we can move on. Gary Darden is one of the coolest cats out there for me, man. He reminds me of like a black Robert Redford. I mean, to me, Robert Redford is what in every movie he's in, whether it was Indecent Proposal or some of his other movies, off the top of my head, but them 2 dudes are some cool cats, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and the thing about Mary Jane, and I don't know, this would always tell, a lot of the ladies, that watch Mary Jane or any show. It just seems to me that women, whether it's Mary Jane, whether it's Deja Johnson in Dayton, Ohio, or Sally Jenkins in Cali, why do the women always get attracted to the man that everybody wants? Why can't, Mary Jane or Deja or Sally or whoever it may be get the guy that picks up your garbage or delivers your mail? It just seems like, and that's why only thing about Mary Jane I don't have an issue with, right. But I just want to see these shows with these successful, women, whether it be white women, black women, whoever, just sometimes give the regular dude an opportunity and date some of those guys, because what happens is in our community, we watch a lot of these shows and we try to mimic Mary Jane, and right. Whether that's good or bad,
right?
But it's a lot of good brothers out here who are single and they can't find, a Mary Jane and can't find that person in real life because, you got some of these high profile type, women meeting, dealing with men who are, very likable and being followed and treasured by other women. So I just say, I want to see Mary Jane. I want to see all the women and, locally or whoever it may be, just to deal with some regular type guys so don't get caught up in getting their heart broken. Because I know in the last season in Mary Jane, she was with, Mr. Amari Hardwick, who's doing big things on Power. I think he was married.
Yeah, he was.
So I just want to see, and that's one thing about the caller that, kind of resonated with me was, let's see these ladies and men and everybody just mess with some people or get involved with people who are going to be good for you down the road, and that's somebody who's already is already taken or has flaws, but you like them because maybe they have a good job or they have a nice body or they may have, as everybody say now, the swag.
Right. I'm a champion. I told you through all our sports discussions, I'm a champion of the underdog. I champion the unsung. That's my whole calling in life. And to your point, I just think that the storytelling that's prevalent is about the big stories. We see these all these movies. Think Like a Man, whatever. Everybody's running something, or Taraji's character in that, she was an executive. Morris Chestnut is friends with Warren Buffett. It's all of this over the top stuff, and we just don't stick down in the middle and tell those good stories, like my man Franklin and Zora in Disappearing Acts.
There it is.
And that, I can just leave it there, man. I mean, it's the struggle, that struggle in the middle that's more realistic. I just don't know if Hollywood can sell that. I mean, you look at the two families in Love and Basketball. Look how well to do their parents were. We just, every time we go to tell this story, it's got to be on, from that big level, and I don't think that really fits the majority of the audience. That's my take, man.
There it is. So, anything else dealing with before we move on to music?
Nah, man, that's it, man.
All right. So let's move on to music. Last couple weeks we've been bigging up Mr. Kendrick Lamar, from the hot album cover to that when the album released unexpectedly. It's been a lot of hot news and big news actually, going on with Kendrick. So now that we have set in a little bit and listened to the album, your thoughts? How do you feel about it?
A week later, man, I'm still excited about the album. I think it's I don't want to go back and reiterate everything, rehash what I said last week, but a week later, I'm very pleased at the project. I don't think it's a lot out there like it, and it's sold. I looked at XXL.com today, and they reported that the album sold 363,000 units,
yep,
and that 89% of those were physical copies or the complete album. So I think now with the digital stuff, if you sell so many, I don't know if maybe you sell 13 of the same singles, that might be considered an album.
Oh, it is now?
I'm saying maybe.
Okay.
I think that's how they kind of breaking it up to be able to report, performance.
Okay.
But I'm pleased with it, man.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are liking Kendrick. Like I said, I was trying to get a buddy of mine to call in, but unfortunately he's working. But the thing about it is, I said Kendrick, I just thought that all your great MCs and great albums always had a couple songs on there that you can, definitely bump to or get you up in the club and dance a little bit. And I just don't see that with Kendrick. But I just think like I was schooled, so vividly by one of my buddies, that Kendrick isn't that kind of guy. He's maybe that kind of guy who, you just need to, thought provoking and have some good messages. But he has quality music, so I just respect it for what it's worth. I haven't heard the entire album. I need to get on it, man, but just been so busy. But I think, big props to Kendrick for dropping the complete project.
Is it really any? Well, we can move on.
Okay, no problem. Moving on to another new album that's dropped recently. This guy right here, man. So I don't sleep a lot. I stay up late at night, so I'm watching some videos late at night, and I see this big guy. I mean, is he Caucasian or is he a real light skinned brother?
Nah, he's Caucasian.
He's a Caucasian.
He's actually Armenian and Jewish.
So Mr. Armenian and Jewish, Mr. Action Bronson. I'm watching this video come on late at night. Like, who is this dude? I knew who he was, but he has a video. He's coming out of his trailer or his dressing room. He has a bowl of cereal. And he goes to the video set and he shoots this video, and it's kind of entertaining. And then his lyrics is not that bad. I'm like, he's okay. I thought it was gonna be what's the one rapper who was down with Big Boy a while back?
Bubba Sparks.
I thought it was another Bubba Sparks type deal. But
right.
Action Bronson got a couple bars, so he dropped. How you feel about him?
I've been checking. I like the first three singles. Acting a Fool, Steady Acting. I can't remember that one, but
you seen that video I was talking about? Is that?
I think that was Easy Rider, maybe.
Okay.
But Easy Rider, Baby Blue, Terry, and Acting Crazy or something is the name of the other song that I'm saying we get the 4 singles. All 4 of those were pretty enjoyable. And to be honest, the Easy Rider cut has like a really psychedelic sample to it, some guitar stuff. You know, I'm just saying I really brought him up today. I don't know what he's gonna sell, but my whole point is I'm wondering if like the labels, this is his first. He's got like 10 albums with mixtapes mixed in there, but this is his first major debut, release. And I would have estimated that he doesn't top 150,000 sales, maybe even 100,000. But I put it on here because, like you said, the dude was on ESPN's Highly Questionable. Today, actually, when I went out to lunch, him and Rude Jew did like an hour breaking down every song on the album. I went and sampled it last night. Some of it's a little noisy, but I'm just wondering, are record labels like, we're going to give different people a chance as long as you've kind of built your brand and made your own sound? And I think if you check out his material, he's really just found this really weird lane to be in with some 60s, 70s, and 60s and 70s music, and then he throws in some bars on you.
Yeah, no doubt. And think about Action Bronson. But I have a question about, because I know you know this. Who does his production?
One of my favorite topics. He works extensively with one of my favorite guys, who is Static Selector, who to me is like a new primo.
Yeah, you like that guy.
I like Static a lot. He did a lot of the work. Some guy named Party Supplies did something. He's got a lot of guitar on here, some live instrumentation. He's worked with Harry Fraud, and I'm gonna just say this. I don't know if I buy the whole Mr. Wonderful. I'm probably gonna cop a couple of the singles, but I feel like his album, to me, coming on the heels of Kendrick, I like people that are making albums, and I listened to him, the concept behind the album, the sound he was going for. I thought that was interesting, and I'm just gonna close it off with saying, I tried to get into Joey Badass. I told you I was trying to check for him and some of my unsung people, but when the Joey project, before the money dropped, it never resonated with me, man, and I didn't even bother listening to that album. And I've heard that it was dope by a lot of people, but I don't think Joey was able to roll out his album the way that Action has. So I don't know. It's just good to see some different voices out there. It's good to see different regions of the country being independent of one another and not everything sounding the same from whatever coast you come. I like to hear, Cali sound like Cali. I like to hear Atlanta sound like Atlanta. I like to hear New York sound like New York. And I think this is a step in that direction.
That's a very good point, man. We need diversity in music.
Balance.
We need a good balance, man. I think you need to be true to yourself, true to your fan base, and represent where you're from. Because, we always live by this. If you're not hot in your hood and where you're actually from, how can you go out and deliver your message to the masses? So that big ups to all the guys out there who are being authentic and who are actually doing something that's, making us think and move us a little bit with a different perspective.
Right.
So I think that's about the end of the show, right?
Right. I know show length keeps coming up, but, if I can step on the soapbox for a minute as we wrap it up. We're not even, we're making like plates right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At the most, we might be the carved out barrel at the stoplight where we're making ribs, and chicken and stuff. We're not at the food truck yet, not at the restaurant, and we don't have the wing sauce in Costco just yet. It's levels to this, it's steps, it's a process. And, we thought it was going to be a bunch of calls in tonight, and we try to plan for all that. And then, calls kind of trickle in, and that's understandable. I'm not complaining. But, we just trying to roll with it and improvise. So, the team is just trying to do the best we can. But I think for some consistency, we have to plan for an hour and a half or, show every week, whether it be bad or good, we got a plan for the hour and a half because we don't know what's going to happen. So, we appreciate all the clicks, the replays, whether you skim through it, whether you find your part and move on, all of that. We're talking about next steps. We looking at getting this Facebook page up to get people the topics early. We would like to do some live streaming. We're kicking different things around, but we can only do it each week. We neither one of us have gone to the wife and said, "Babe, I'm not going to work anymore.
Right.
I'm just going to do the fifth quarter show." We haven't done that yet, although it may be tempting. But we just appreciate any time that you spend with any critiques, any feedback whatsoever. So we do just appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely do. I think Wood just hit it on the head. It's a working process, man. We're trying to get better. We're trying to get cleaner, and we're trying to speed up the show. I mean, today's show, I know we both left out a lot of our detail that we had anticipating the calls. So, you probably like, why didn't they get a little bit more in depth on some of the stats and some of the things that they generally do? But we're just trying to make it a show to where the people can join in, because I think we had a handful of calls a day, and I really believe that, that was the best part of the show.
Right.
We had, I believe, our first female callers call in today.
That's right.
So that was huge, man, and we appreciate that, and you guys give me your point of view on some of the entertainment side of things, and that's what we need. We just need you guys to continue to support us and bear with us, and also if you see any places where we can improve or do things better, let us know. You want to think about myself, Wood, Chuck. We're not big ego guys. We're okay with healthy criticism, and we take it and we try to run with it and try to improve it. So we just ask you to continue to support us and continue to bear with us as we perfect our craft, and hopefully we can actually you can take us with you with listening to us on our links, our YouTube links. Eventually we're going to get it to where maybe we can do some I think MP3 or something to make it a little bit less hateful on your battery life, or on the YouTube kind of buffering type deal. We're trying to do some things to get better, and Wood and Chuck are shaking their head. They're more the technical guys than me. So I just say thank you, and we appreciate all your support.
Right. Like I said, we want to time stamp some stuff. We know you're busy and moving. Go directly to the spot that you want. It's just a lot of planning, and like I said, we don't do this full time. And then last thing I'm gonna say, man, you've probably ran into other people, and to a lot of people, and they have all these suggestions. This is just a public service announcement.
Get on them, Wood.
Some of y'all bring really great points to me, and part of our mission statement was to take all these great conversations at the water cooler, the coffee pot, the barbershop, the gym, in between sets. It was to take all those conversations and make a space to have them and archive them, and we just be the moderators or facilitate the discussion. So some of y'all had it. I don't do this. We don't watch the games together in a big studio with 20 and 30 TVs, and we don't have people running and getting us stats. So anything that we miss, we would just appreciate it if you called it in and presented it to everybody, because I can't come on here and take credit for your thought. I'm gonna shut it down there.
There it is, man. All right, thank you guys, and we're signing off. Peace.
Peace.